Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. Today is going to be a crochet stitch tutorial. This is a really cool stitch. It would be amazing in many different projects. And at the end of this video, I would love to know what you would use this stitch for, or if you've ever used this stitch. What stitch am I talking about? I'm talking about the woven shell stitch. So it doesn't look like much just sitting here like this, but if I stretch it out, you can see the fabric is thick, very, very thick and squishy, and it's the same on both sides, like this. So the woven shell gives you the appearance that there is a woven fabric. So here we are. All right, so if you're not a crocheter and this is your first time here, perfectly okay. I have all kinds of different tutorials: knitting, Tunisian crochet, needle tatting, spinning, weaving. Just hop over to the playlist, or if you would like to learn how to crochet, you can start back at the beginning of the playlist in crochet and pick up the basics. All right, so let's go ahead and move this swatch out of the way. This was Premiere Everyday worsted, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. I have a stitch marker, and I usually just use some remnants yarn when I am working up swatches for tutorials. All right, so the first thing that you're going to need to do is create your base chain. And that base chain needs to be in multiples of 6 plus 3. Now, if you're going to add this pattern into something you are already working on, it will need to be in multiples of 6 plus 1. All right, so from a base chain, this particular chain, I have a total of 27 chains. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Once you make your chain of 6 plus 3, multiples of 6 plus 3, our first row is just like a setup row. Then you will repeat rows 2 and 3. So let's begin with row 1, our setup row. We're going to hop back to the 7th stitch. So I'll be working into the bumps on the back of my chain. You can work into the front of your chain if you so desire. That's perfectly okay. But I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to count back to the 7th chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And at the 7th chain, I am going to place 3 double crochets. It's 2 and 3, all in the same stitch. All right, so now we need to create that woven effect by finishing this shell up with a chain 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go backwards to the 2nd stitch prior to this one. So when you're looking at your chains, we need to make sure that you stretch it out a little bit and you can count back to the right chain. We're going to be working from the back side of our work. So right here I have 1 and 2, and I'm going to place 3 double crochets into that chain, if I can get a hold of it. There we go. So there's only 1 stitch, 1 chain in between this 3 double crochets and the 3 double crochets we're making now. All into that same chain. All right, So now that we have it straight, this is what you're looking at. Here's your chain 3 between the 2 sets of 3 double crochets. And there is a skipped chain in between them. All right, let's do this next stitch. We skip 1 and double crochet into the next. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you're catching the right stitch, because by adding 3 stitches into 1 chain, you kind of open that chain up and it can get a little hard to find your next stitch. All right, so now we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th, we're going to place 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to skip back to 2 stitches prior to the one you just worked. That's 1, that's 2. And from the back side, you're going to place 3 double crochets into that stitch. So let me find it again here. 1, 2. There we go. And 3 double crochets into that stitch, into that chain. And now we're going to skip 1 and double crochet into the next. And then we're on repeat. So we're going to skip over 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th chain, place 3 double crochets into that same chain. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And this time I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see placement a little bit better. Okay, so here's the 4th chain from this double crochet. So we skip 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, and that's the 4th chain. So when we work backwards, we need to go into that center chain in between these 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. We need to go into that second one. And we're going to go from behind and work into that stitch, 3 double crochets, all into the same stitch. Then we're going to move forward again, and we're going to skip 1 and double crochet into the next. Like that. All right, I have one last one to do here. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th stitch, we're going to place 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And skip back to that second chain, second skip chain from behind, and place 3 double crochets into that chain. Sometimes it's easier just to turn your work over and look at the chains. All right, you should have 2 chains left when you have finished your last little part of the shell there. You're going to just skip one and double crochet into that very last chain. Okay, so now we're going to move on to row 2. The next 2 rows are your repeating rows. This was just a setup row. Let's go ahead and move on. We are going to either, this is up to you, I'll show you real slow on this first one, but I do a mock double crochet to begin my double crochet row. So if you normally chain up 2 or 3 to be your first double crochet, you are more than welcome to do that. But as for me, this is how I do a mock double crochet. I pull up a loop to the height of a double crochet. I turn my work over. I hold my finger on that loop that's on my hook. It can go out and back, but it does not turn around the hook. All right, so with that being said, I bring my hook towards me, down and under that loop. So that gives you the appearance of 2 loops on your hook. Now we're going to go into that stitch, yarn over, and pull up another loop. So that would be your 3 loops on your hook, just like a double crochet. Still holding that very first stitch. That is the top of your double crochet. So now we're going to yarn over and go through 1, 2. And yarn over, go through the last 2. When you do that, you now have this V just like a regular double crochet. And that's where you place your stitch marker, is into the top of that stitch, like such. All right, we're also going to place 3 more double crochets into that same stitch. So there's 1, 2, and 3, for a total of 4 double crochets into that very first stitch. Now we're going to hop over to that chain 3 space and single crochet to it, just like such. Now we're going to work over the next 2 groups of 3 double crochets. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets and into the 6th one, which is the center double crochet of the second group of 3. There's your first group, here's your second group. So that center double crochet, you're going to place 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we need to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to work into that center stitch of your first group of 3 double crochets from the back. So we're going to double crochet. Let me see if I can get this where you can see it. If you flip it to the back, you can kind of see the back. Here's that group of 3 double crochets right here. We're going to be working into that center one and placing 3 double crochets. All into that same stitch. Flip it back up and single crochet to your next chain 3 space and repeat. We're going to hop over to that second group of 3 double crochets, skipping this first one here, and go to the center double crochet and place 3 double crochets. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to just move it forward so I can see these 3 stitches from behind. And I'm going to place 3 double crochets into that center stitch. And now we're going to single crochet to our next chain 3 space. Okay. It kind of looks a little wonky right now. We'll straighten it up on the next row. All right, our next repeat, our last repeat for this row is, once again, we're going to hop over to that center stitch of the second group of 3 and place 3 double crochets into that stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to go back from behind to the center of that group of 3, so that center stitch, and place 3 double crochets into that stitch. I know it's a little hard to see. Hopefully I'm explaining it well enough that you can follow along. All right, now we're going to hop over to this next chain 3 and place a single crochet into the chain 3 space. Now down here is where the top of our chain is, and that is where we're going to place 4 double crochets into the top of that chain. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, I'm going to do a mock double crochet to begin row 3. Mock double crochet back into that first stitch and replace my stitch marker at the top of that. If you would like to chain 2 or 3 for your first double crochet, you are welcome to do so. All right, so let's take a look at this. We have our 4 double crochets here, and we have 3 double crochets over here. So with that being said, we're going to skip this first one because it's already worked into with this double crochet. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the 6th, place 3 double crochets. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now we're going to work back into those remaining 3 stitches. We're going to work into that center one. So we're going to go back to the center double crochet of that first group of 3 and place 3 double crochets into that stitch, and we're doing it from behind. It's 2 and 3. Now we're going to hop over to our chain 3 space and single crochet to it. And now we're going to repeat what we were doing on the previous row. We're going to skip over to the 6th stitch, place 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and jump back to that first group of 3 double crochets from behind and place 3 double crochets into that center stitch. Now we're going to jump forward and single crochet to that chain 3. And now we're going to jump over to our 6th stitch and place 3 double crochets. chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and hop back to the center double crochet of that previous group of 3 and place 3 double crochets. All right, jump back forward and single crochet to our last chain 3 space. Now we're going to work over, skipping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the 6th stitch. You're going to place 3 double crochets. It's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, 2, and 3. And now from the back side of our work, we're going to jump back to the previous 3 double crochets and place 3 double crochets into the center stitch. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to complete this row by placing 1 double crochet into this very last stitch. And that is the woven shell stitch. Pop the stitch marker out. So here we are. I think it's a pretty neat stitch. I like the thickness of it, especially, you know, if you use a thicker yarn. This is a little thinner worsted weight than this is. This is nice and thick. So it's very, very squishy. You can see the thickness of it right there. Very fun stitch to do. It is a little tedious jumping back and forth to get those particular stitches. If you need any extra help with this stitch, please feel free to reach out to me in a private email or comment down below. I will do my best to help you with anything that I can with this stitch. All right, everyone, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, bye for now.